match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat children. Pray.
We back. Motherfucking Tough Talk Podcast. I am your host, Phil Hunt, per usual. Here with my co-host, Ibrahim.
Yes, sir.
Say what's up to the people, or you just said what's up to the people.
I was about to say.
This week, we rocking solo, dolo, no guest. Just me and Eve here holding it down. We got a lot to discuss. My buddy here, he's fresh off his week at the creek, man. How was it?
It's dope as shit, man. It was an experience, man. Thanks for doing a set on the spot, man. It was excellent.
Appreciate it, man. Any stage time you can get, you gotta appreciate here in this city. Week at the Creek, for those of you who don't know, is at the Creek and Cave over in Long Island City. So, yeah, man, a lot of people have done that. I got to see Colin Quinn do a week at the Creek. So everybody gets to do it, from, the biggest artists. Obviously, Colin Quinn's been on SNL and a whole bunch of other shit, Tough Crowd and whatever else, right. All the way back down to us, to know. Yeah, and you're relatively new to the game, so
nobody ass.
But I got to see some shit from Ibrahim, and I was impressed, man. I mean, often in the city, you only get to see people for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, so to get to see you do a whole 30 was kind of impressive. Because you got to commit.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that it taught me about with doing this week, was that each day, what I challenged myself to do was like do a different 20 each day. Okay. And then I relatively kept the same closer. Because what made me realize that, I do have material to pull from. Yeah. And a lot of the material I built was in black rooms. Because, in black rooms, they going to give you a guest spot is 15 minutes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not stingy with the time. They're going to let you rock out.
And they're going to see if you're funny or not.
For better
and
or worse.
If you're doing well, they'll let you go for 10, 15 minutes.
Shit, even if you're doing bad, they'll let you go for 10
minutes. Sometimes. Smokey going to yank you down if you're doing bad.
I don't do too many rooms with Smokey.
Because it's just crashing the show. Right, but then, Smokey going to do 20 minutes about how bad you were. Mm-hmm. Shit, I done been there when he played the funeral music. That shit is the worst.
Well, I never had to deal with that. I stopped.
Yeah, you got lucky.
Nah, I did Mocha's once, and I did well. And then every time I would go back to try to get on stage, I could never get on stage, so I stopped going.
It can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, I stopped going.
I feel like with white rooms or with mainstream rooms, it's very hard to get on stage, and it might take you months to get up there. With black rooms, the challenge always was, for those like Def Jam, Bad Boys of Comedy, even, because Smokey did that. Mm-hmm. They all are connected and they see each other as peers, whereas you could go do one of their rooms 8 times, kill it, and they still be like, yo, give it up for this new Jack, and they'll never want to learn your name type shit. Mm-hmm. So where it's like, you didn't come up with me, so I don't give a fuck about you, you don't matter.
I don't know. OGs have been quite gracious to me.
But like I said, they will give you the opportunity.
Yeah,
you will get up there.
The OGs have been very gracious to me. Like, I've heard a lot of horror stories with some people. I mean, it's been a few, you know what I mean? But I don't know. It don't really bother me that much. It was like, I'm a man first. So I've never really gotten that from them.
It doesn't bother me, but I'm just saying each room is basically pick your battle. Mm-hmm. White room, they might learn your name, but they're not putting you up. And I mean, you gotta, have reference, or you gotta do the audition process, which could take months.
Which is a mystery in itself.
To which, like I said, the advantage in the black rooms was you can go there and they will put your ass up for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. They might not learn your name, but they'll put you up. You'll get you some stage time.
It's a beautiful thing because it's a beautiful thing. I always big up the black rooms because, like, I see a lot of alt black comics. Like, they always shit on black rooms, and I'm like,
I don't know what purpose that serves.
I think it really has to do with them. And I already went through this debate. I had to like really go at some comics one night.
Yeah,
that was talking shit about the black audience, about black rooms, and I was like, listen, man. like talking to them like they're dumb or you got to dumb your shit down and all that. I'm like, no, you don't.
You just got to be faster.
I said you have to be quicker. You have to be easier, quicker with it. But you also have to be confident in yourself.
Right.
They're like, oh, they're not gonna like me because I talk like this. And blah, blah.
Right.
I said that's your problem.
That's their own insecurity.
That's your own insecurity.
Yeah.
If you just go up there and do your shit, they see that it's you, then they gonna fuck with you.
I don't see what purpose it serves a black comic to not do black rooms. I think you can get very far in whatever this industry is in the current state of it by not doing it. But I don't think you'll ever be as big as or as big as, you know, the Steve Harvey or the Cedric the Entertainer or any of them because Chappelle did both. He did the Peppermint Lounge. He went to see Bob Sumner as well as going to see Lucien over at the comic strip. It's like you need both. And then these black comics in particular are running into a very specific problem of they don't meet neither standard. Meaning they haven't gone to see anyone at any mainstream room, any bookers that could say, okay, your timing, your rhythm, your pace is all up to par. You can go on to the next level. And they're also not going to see Bob Sumner and doing the Apollo.
Right. And that has to do with their own insecurity.
Yeah, a lot of it's their own insecurity to where not having a standard makes everyone feel welcome.
What's funny is when we were debating back and forth, one of the comics goes, well, you're more of a black comic than we are. You're more of that type of comic. I said, dude, when I'm in that room, they say that I'm more of a mainstream comic.
Because you're both.
I said, because I don't fit no...
I think you're more of a hybrid.
Yeah, it's like I don't fit in no, whatchamacallit. I said, they think I'm mainstream. Y'all think I'm that. Yeah. I said, no, I do both rooms. I don't think
the comic nowadays can do one or the other. Obviously, you don't just want to limit yourself because I have a problem with having moved here, you know, from Indianapolis and came 800 miles or 900 miles, whatever the fuck it is. I have a problem with also that I'll meet black comics who only want to do black rooms. And it's just like, okay. And it's often people who are from this side of things, you know, tri-state area, Jersey, New York, whatever. I'm saying I came 900 miles. I'm about to go uptown and I'm about to go downtown. Yeah. These cats is like, nah, I ain't going downtown. You know, they gonna pay me $25 and it's gonna take 9 months to get on stage. But it's like, long run, you want to be, you know, in the mix for when they have the auditions and for when, you know, whatever TV show is looking for people, you want your name to be put in the hat. That's the benefit of that. But I have a problem on either side when people limit themselves. But obviously I did Apollo last summer and I mean, some of the same jokes that I do downtown. So I'm doing Caroline's, I'm doing the Apollo. I'm also going to go, you know, out to Brooklyn and do those rooms. To me, if you can't work 2 out of the 3 sets, meaning if you can't do either urban, alt, and mainstream, if you can't do it 2 of the 3, you suck. Because there's a lot of hacks in all of those rooms that just kind of learn the lines, you know. Alt room or whatever, you know if you bring up... what's the group? Is it Coldplay? It ain't Coldplay. No. What was the other one that all the white boys used to do? I think it was Creed that they would make fun of. Okay. And it's just like, okay, that's hack at this point. Right. You're all just slamming Creed and it's like, who even knows, you know? Right. And then, I mean, wherever, you know, you'll see black comics, you know, corny black comics, you know.
Give it up for the ladies.
Uptown, and they're like, well, there's 2 of them. The alt black comic is going to be uptown and he's going to be... You know, Ja Rule, and then, well, they don't like black comics, and it's like, no, motherfucker, you were talking about Ja Rule in 2020. Like, who the fuck talks about Ja Rule? That's like 20 years of music that you skip past, you know what I mean? You need better jokes. Yeah. And you need to update your jokes and your references. And then, like you were saying, you know, you get also some of the hood black comics that are corny, you know. Clap for the ladies. Clap for this. Give it up for the military. Clap for the NBA. Clap if you enjoy breathing.
Women always shopping.
Women be shopping.
Women be shopping. You can't stand a woman from shopping.
Where are we, man? Where should we start with? We started with comedy, so we'll stay in comedy. It's been a long week. If you haven't heard, or you live under a rock, or don't have social media, or ain't paid your phone bill, Kobe Bryant passed.
Yeah.
And that shit is sad, and, you know, it ain't a whole lot to be said about it. You know, if you haven't heard, he died on a helicopter with, 7 or 8 other people.
Yeah, including his daughter.
And it's just sad. And, I mean, you know, probably two weeks prior to, everybody on Twitter was sharing the meme of him and his daughter.
Right.
And he was obviously explaining some intricacies of basketball to his daughter, you know, which is, like I said, it's just weird because it felt eerie almost, you know.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, we were sharing a positive image of a black man speaking to his daughter, you know, whatever jokes we were making about it or whatever, but it doesn't even matter at this point. But yeah, that shit hit me hard, and it hit me hard because obviously I'm a hoops fan. If y'all have listened to this podcast, y'all probably know that. Yeah, man, I grew up playing basketball, and he was the guy, so... You know what was crazy, too, was the timing of the death that was really weird because LeBron passed him the night before in Philly. Against Philly, you know, he passed his scoring record. I think he moved into second or three. He moved into number 3 and dropped Kobe to number 4. So that day, that Sunday, I saw people walking around in his shirts and his jerseys just to say, like, yo, my man got passed, but that's still my man.
Right.
Then I was on York Avenue about 6 o'clock, and I saw this kid in a number 8 Kobe shirt, and he was crying. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? Then I look down at my phone, and as I see, you know, obviously everybody is playing news reporter. So people were like, yo, Kobe's dead. And I just was like, damn. Like I said, the timing of it was very weird.
Yeah.
Not that there's ever a good time to die.
Right, but it was just, he surpassed him. And then he passed away.
So it was just a little strange, which obviously now, you know, black conspiracy theorists couldn't wait. Well, they did wait with respect to Dr. Umar Johnson. He at least gave it a day or two before he came out with his crazy ass conspiracy theory.
What was it about the pharmaceutical?
Although I don't fault black people for being conspiracy theorists.
You kind of gotta be.
Why the fuck would you trust this government?
Yeah, why not?
It's lied to us so much. Central Park 5. What else has it lied to us? The Tuskegee experiment that they were like,
the fact that they actually put drugs in the black community.
I mean,
those were conspiracy
even
theories.
if they put them there, you ain't have to use them. You ain't have to smoke it.
Bro, you take all the jobs away.
But I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? It makes all the sense in the world.
There's a lot of truth to it, but even Dr. Umar respected the rules and was like, okay, 2 to 3 days after, here it comes. Here comes the bullshit.
Because I didn't watch the video.
Man, you know what it was. Hey, come on, it don't make sense, you know. But yeah, pharmaceutical companies and all types of other bullshit. That it's like, hey, man.
This is the thing when it comes to. I don't decline any. I don't decline too many conspiracy theories because it could be a lot of shit, but something in there.
But sometimes people just die. Nipsey Hussle ain't get killed over a documentary.
Sometimes, and sometimes not.
I mean,
it's
the reason. But I think the reason for those things are because people would rather believe when it's somebody who dies, who's has power or wealth or celebrity, that rather than dealing with the tragedy and just saying, yo, my man got in a tragic car accident and died, people would rather make up things to make it make sense. Whereas when your Uncle Clarence dies, that nigga just died. Like, there's no Uncle conspiracy theories.
Right, but Uncle Clarence didn't have a $1 billion lawsuit against
I know, but I'm just...
He may have owed a nigga $20 down on
just one time.
125th.
That's what I want to see. I want to see regular people conspiracy theories.
That would be funny.
Like, shit, my brother passed from cancer. I want somebody to come into the ER and just be like, you know what this is about, right? Think about it, brother. His birthday was in March, right? Now, what month is that? Now, what month is that?
It was in the 3rd.
That's the 3rd month, right?
It was a dude doing that shit over the place.
Now, what type diabetes did y'all say he had? Type 3.
Type 3. Oh, it was type 3.
Now, let me ask you this. What's his social security number? Mm-hmm. Now take the last two numbers
and add them together
and divide them. Now what jersey number you say he wore? 24? Divided by 24. Now let me ask you this, my brother. How many blades a helicopter got? You just like, yo, fam, I don't know what you just did right there.
Shit. He was like, what did he say? He kept bringing up 26. He's like, oh, the daughter, what they died on the 26th?
I don't know.
Yeah, they died on the 26th. Yeah, so they died on the 26th. He goes, what is Kobe and his daughter? Kobe's number is 24. His daughter number is 2.
Oh my
26.
God.
He was like, their birthday.
That's what people do. Birthday. They take numbers and they try to make it make sense.
Dude, I don't want to hear none of this shit.
Now, how many feet up was that? Come on, brother.
2,600.
And then they tap that head twice.
Think about it.
I'm done. Anytime you got to do math, like I said, nobody does math to figure out why their uncle died, but every time a famous person died, it got to be some type of government conspiracy. Let it rest. It's sad. R.I.P. Kobe is just about the only thing to say. Yeah. Shit was sad. And you know, the jokes, we comedians, the jokes are right there. They're going to come. I made a joke myself. It made me feel better. A few people hit me up to say, hey man, I was ready to be mad, but that did make me laugh. The joke I made was very simple. Kobe passed. Y'all been waiting on him to pass this whole time. Mm-hmm. Y'all been asking that he pass, and then finally he passed, and now y'all sad.
Yeah.
And that was the joke. And if you go back and watch Kobe's, I think it was his last game speech where he kind of joked about the same thing. About like, my whole career they told me to pass. Tonight they're going to tell me not to pass. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you know he scored 61 in his final game. There's another number, brother. 61. Now, let me ask you this. What jersey number he wore in middle school? If you take 6 and then divide it by 1, what is that? God. See, he wore number 6. No, I don't fucking know what number he wore at Lower Marion or whatever.
No, Lower Marion wore 33.
But everybody, it started this tidal wave of, you know, bullshit that it's like, all right, R.I.P. Kobe, that's the right thing to say, obviously, but a lot of people are going to say a lot of things in between. The comedians' jokes, I don't mind because I know that's what we do and that's how we make ourselves feel better, right?
It's the backlash from the people.
But also, I hate the arguments it creates. Because then people started pointing fingers at other people like, yo, don't just share about him. You got to share about his daughter. And then you got to share these white people that no one ever saw play. Yeah. And it's just like...
Why? I don't have to share.
Because what people start doing is it starts becoming this moral high ground of like, I loved Kobe more than you.
Right.
I'm the saddest person right now. And it's like, fam, all of us... saw the man play at some point.
Right.
And even if you didn't see him play, you still humanly can feel sorry for somebody else's loss. So it's just a weird thing to make it all about yourself where you start pointing across the way at other people like, let me tell you what's wrong with your post, buddy. Like, why you sound like Macho Man all of a sudden? Brother.
That's the fucking world we live in though right now.
Let me tell you.
To project that they're this great person.
Like I said, it's weird because people were almost like, you're not as sad as me. I'm more sadder
than you. Yeah.
And it's just like, no, we all knew him to the same amount.
I keep it a buck. Like I tell people, it's like, yo, like my boy, he's a huge Kobe fan. I'm talking about huge. And me and him used to get in arguments and debates all the time about Kobe Bryant and all this stuff because I wasn't a Kobe Bryant fan. And I hit him up to find out how he was doing. I'm talking about, it's like Kobe is almost like this motherfucker's like Zen master, his life coach. Like his whole life is around Mamba mentality. So I was like, yo, dude, you all right? And he was like, man, I cried. He cried most of the day, all this stuff. Like it really affected him. So then I was like, all right, I was just hitting you up. He said, I appreciate it. I said, well, you know how I feel about him. I said, so, but I want to make sure you was all right.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'm good. I said, all right, man. Well, hashtag fuck Kobe. I said, for old time's sake.
Yeah, for old time's sake.
I said, for old time's sake. And he said, I fucking hate you. And I was like hey. Man, but he laughed. I was like, I'm not going to change up my energy or how I feel about the dude.
Like, fuck him in sports, but not fuck him in life.
Right. Not
it's just a silly ass game.
It's a thing where
Like, I think it was Seinfeld that said, how silly is sports? And Seinfeld did a joke about, he said, when a player changes teams, they just change shirts.
Yeah.
So you're in the stands like, he's wearing a different shirt.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Obviously, Seinfeld doesn't cuss, but that was kind of the gist of the joke. But it's like,
I kept it the same.
Grown-ass men, they wear shirts.
I hate when someone dies and then people act like they've always been, fans of them.
That was the thing.
It's like, come on, man.
At least this time, it felt real because a lot of people had a lot of love for him. Like when Philip Seymour Hoffman died, rest
everybody
in peace.
all of a sudden.
But it's like, look, y'all wasn't no Philip Seymour Hoffman fans. But even that was bigger because it's like, some people liked his music.
But not
like you should have to show that he's on your playlist for you to be able to type R.I.P. Because it's just like, dude, we don't need 5 trillion R.I.P. posts.
Right.
We just need about his 30 or so fans to post this shit.
So
at least this time it was real because niggas had jerseys, niggas had shirts, niggas had shoes.
I don't know if so many people had the shoes.
I had the shoe. Well, depends on what shoes we talking about. Because the Nikes was like, all right, he came over to a side that was real. Whereas them Adidas shits looked like vacuum cleaners, and it was like, nah, fam. Although the Crazy 8s, he started with the Crazy 8s.
I remember
the Crazy 8s were dope.
They were all right.
And everybody had them. So with some people, when they're tennis shoes, it's like, hey, man, you don't need to make a new one every year.
I know you're from the Midwest. You said tennis shoes.
Yeah. Basketball shoes, tennis shoes, you know what I'm saying? Sneakers, whatever.
But tennis shoes.
Sometimes.
You're from the Midwest and country. I hear they say tennis shoes.
Sometimes you don't need to make another shoe, man. Just stick with the Crazy 8s. And then he came with them other ones, and it was just like, fam, I don't know what the fuck those are. Well, those were the Adidas ones that look like the vacuum cleaners.
No. He had a Nike one that was almost like a sock.
Oh, okay. It came up a little higher. Because his Nike ones were basically just the Huaraches. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of made them a special edition type of Huarache, or not the old Huaraches that Fab Five wore, the new Huaraches in the 2000s.
And then Lonzo Ball in the fashion the design.
Lord, don't even talk about those. Which niggas still owe me receipts because they said they was about to support the Big Baller brand.
I wanted to, but
and then it's like nigga, that $300 for shoes of a man who's not even an all-star. Right. This nigga's an athletic Andre Miller, and and his father's out here pushing sneakers down your throat.
I supported.
You keep talking.
Yeah, I supported the dad, man. I really was digging the fact that they were taking agency over their brand, and he was doing something that nobody else had done. Because I thought about it from the aspect of if LeBron James' father was around. And he had this same mentality, or there's a father around. To be able to take advantage of that and be ahead of the curve on something like that.
But that was a false narrative. The dad was overzealous.
Right.
He started ducking behind, and we're going to get real deep into people ducking behind causes today.
Right.
He started ducking behind this narrative of y'all just don't like black fathers. And it's like...
No, that's true. That's a real thing.
Let me finish.
Okay.
He started ducking behind a false narrative of y'all don't like black fathers.
Right.
And it's not true. It's like, nigga, we don't like loud, obnoxious ass fathers. Look, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah,
I'm about to name some NBA dads.
Go ahead.
The Holiday brothers, there's 3 of them in the NBA right now. Mm-hmm. I can't name their father.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's plenty of brothers in the league whose dads are around and come to games, and we don't know their names. Niggas didn't like him because they felt like he was making everything all about him. It be games and shit, and they interviewing him. Nigga, you not a coach. You not a this. You not a that. Shut the fuck up. Kyrie Irving's father last night was at his game. He grew up without his mother. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's an old 90s NBA narrative of, these players don't have fathers. Man, that narrative needs to be killed and needs to be put to bed. It ain't existed since 1990. And I know we as comics sometimes, we use jokes and it's like, ha, ha, ha. But also, that's not fucking true.
No, but what I will say about with Lonzo Ball, what I saw initially, how I looked at how he was approaching everything is that he was taking the brunt of what will be coming to his son, right? Because it's like here it is, most of the time in the NBA, you draft a kid who's like 17, 18 years old, 19 or whatever, into the league. Yeah. They have to deal with media questions. They have to deal with the media circus. And the way I saw it is that his father was, this initially how I saw it. Yeah. That his father was taking the brunt of that away from him. So he could just focus on playing. He's talking, he's being the mouthpiece so his son could just play. Because sometimes what happens is the fathers and the parents leave the kids to deal with the media. And they don't usually have to, and they usually don't even know how to handle shit like that.
I'm trying to come with you.
You know what I'm saying?
But now I'm following this narrative that you're creating, or not you're creating. Not that you're creating.
But I'm seeing
that it was out there in the atmosphere. But hold on, let me finish. Brandon Ingram, look at his draft class, and then let's talk about the whole thing as a whole. Kobe's dad was an NBA player.
He was an NBA player.
Think of how little you saw Kobe's dad speak. Here's the thing. If you're sitting there beside your son during one of his interviews, that's support, and I don't mind that.
Right.
But nigga, when you said more than your son has said, there is a problem. I felt like it came off like he was living vicariously through his son.
Yeah, eventually that's what it ended up, when I ended up realizing. But this is the only issue I have with Lonzo Ball. He did not know how to, I will agree, he did not know when to shut the fuck up. LeVar Ball, whatever. But he did not know when to shut the fuck up.
And I mean, a lot of that wasn't his fault. ESPN and shit was scheduling interviews for him. So a lot of that wasn't his fault. But I just hated this false narrative of, oh, he's a black father. If you have a problem with him, it's because you have an issue with black fathers. Like I said, the holidays, there's 3 of them in the league. Yeah. I can't name him. I can't name Kyrie's father. Kyrie's father was at the game last night. The Nets for Kobe or whatever. It was kind of a special thing because, Kyrie was mentored by Kobe. So his father, he'd seen him on the sidelines, went over to hug him. His mother, Kyrie's mother, passed when he was like, I think, at birth maybe. So he was raised by his father. Right. So it's like, what is this narrative and why does it exist? And also, don't hide behind a false cause.
But it had been a narrative.
So I'll say this. Yeah, you can't make sneakers for your son and he's not a professional. No one's ready for that, fam. So the narrative was way too false for me. Then even with the second son, that he's ruined his career. He got suspended from UCLA for stealing sunglasses, which I made the joke that this nigga's stat sheet is all zeros except in the steal column. There's a 1. Because he literally stole those glasses. Right. Then they tried to suspend the boys, and he didn't let his son get suspended with the rest of them. Yeah. He took his son out of UCLA and put him on like some bum-ass professional team that nobody cares about. Now, the third mellow is obviously, or the third ball is coming up on the draft, but it's like, please just tell your father to stay out of your shit. Because he doesn't do nothing but ruin shit and make it a circus. Now, like I said, he's not very responsible for the circus because
the media
ESPN's stupid. He didn't tell them to do interviews, It's not his fault he became a character, but I thought he was hurting his son at some point more than he was helping him. And now that he's been relegated to a bench in New Orleans, the hype has died. Niggas is certainly not paying $300 for a bench player's shoes.
Oh, hell no.
And then also, as the black community, we make less. So I thought it was very fucked up for you to then say, oh, well, these cost $300. Now, I know we don't have sweatshops in China.
Come on, bro.
I know we don't have sweatshops in China.
That spend $4 and $5 bands for sneakers.
And I disagree with that.
So I do too.
But just because they're doing it doesn't mean you should do it. Now, I get that the price point has to be higher because business-wise, we don't own sweatshops.
Right.
You know how illegal a pair of Nikes be if a black man ran that fucking country? Like, fucking Asian people should see the Nikes as the Klan. Like, when I see Asians with Nikes on, I'm like, what are you really doing, fam? Like, did your niece make those? But, yeah, man, on the shoe tip, the Kobe's, you could judge them. The Crazy Eights was dope. Which I always find funny about NBA players and their sneakers is they come in the game as a rookie, pre-draft, and they'll sign with anybody. But after about 2 years, it becomes apparent of like, ooh, you shouldn't have signed that deal. You're with LA Gear. Like, nah, brother.
Damn,
you got a
Gear.
Nike game.
You took it back. What about British Knights?
Yeah. So my favorite all-time NBA case of this was obviously Dwayne Wade came in and he was with Converse, and then they were like, "Are you with Converse?" And it's Kirk is Kirk Heinrich also with Converse? Like, what are we selling here? Free throws and bounce passes?
But his Converses was dope though.
But Jordan brought him out of it.
Yeah.
But the all-time favorite was Vince Carter. So Vince Carter, if you don't know, Vince Carter signed with Puma.
Right.
And wasn't on the court, wasn't wearing Pumas, was wearing N1s. And Puma had to say, "Hey, Negro, contractually, you cannot do that."
You wear N1s.
And he was on record. He said, I don't play in them because they're not comfortable. And then Nike came in the middle of N1 and Puma and was like, "We got this one.
That's hilarious.
Here's some money and the rest is history."
That's hilarious.
But it's just funny to me. You can tell.
With Puma?
You can tell. I know, right? You're just like,
Puma makes like running shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even after a while, like running shoes wasn't even for running no more.
You know, they was hot though in like the 70s. Your uncle probably killed over some Pumas.
They came back in the late 90s too. They came back in the
well,
late
yeah,
90s
but like you said, they were running shoes.
They were running shoes. Everybody was walking. They were walking.
Nobody on the
Reeboks.
court in no Pumas.
Nah,
I was like, fam, where did you get those from?
No,
could you not find your real sneakers?
Were they the only ones coming around trying to?
Well, what it is whoever comes the highest bidder, basically. Mm-hmm. So, if you went to a smaller school or you weren't as highly recruited, then you're more likely to take that small bag.
His contract. Did they have to buy?
Yeah, Nike. I told you Nike came in the middle for Vince Carter and was like, "Here's some money for you, and the rest is history."
But what signature shoe did Vince Carter have in Nike?
The Boings, the Springs. Remember? Look. My black,
I had his?
Yeah, he started that. Go back and remember. I was a kid, so I loved them because it was just ugly. It made so much sense, dog. The dopest pair of shoes I've ever had, black on black Vince Carter's. I think it was his second ones. And my fucking brother sold them to somebody, but that's another story.
Fucking a signature shoe.
Yeah, dog. Come on, man. When you win the dunk contest like Vince Carter won it.
But I don't remember no commercials.
Or like Kobe won it. Hey, you about to get a shoe deal, and it's about to be a best one.
My Kobe hate about to come out. Kobe won the wackest.
It's important though that you bring up Kobe hate. Yeah. And here's why. Because I always hated people. One is, okay, let's start with this. What? These false narratives that are created, where people are jumping across the internet to say, "Oh, you got to share everybody's picture, not just Kobe's." And it's like, well, you're not actually saying that you have sympathy or empathy for dead people. What you're saying is you have sympathy for people who died with celebrities. Right, so it's well, you might as well start sharing pictures of the obituary then. Like I said, I saw some of those pictures and I saw the White family and I'm like, who are these people? Have they ever dunked? Who did they play for? Like
the guy was supposed to be a very great, like one of the greatest
pitching coach, but he wasn't a celebrity player, right. If you will. Right. So it was a little disingenuous for people to share the picture. How much money
this motherfucker make to live in Calabasas?
I don't even know, dog. Hey, but you can play baseball forever. So,
no, but I'm saying though, he's the baseball coach. How much money does he make? To live,
might have just been friends of Kobe or whatever, the same way we do. Hey, you think I can roll with you?
Man, you gotta make some fucking money.
You know, black people ain't letting you.
In the motherfucking.
You know, black people ain't letting you on their helicopter though. Hey, you need to put 5 on my gas. Black people always want that $5.
How much is that petrol?
Always want that $5, damn it. Hey, but
That show you how.
Hey man, your helicopter going my way. Anybody going south?
It's only 5 minutes.
Well, and that was an annoying part too. People judging the way he was traveling. When it's like, bruh, if you had helicopter money, you would totally take a helicopter.
He said he had been taking helicopter since his first championship.
Oh well, yeah. You know, it's the way LA traffic is.
There. To where in 15
LA
minutes.
Traffic is notorious. It's a direct way of traveling.
I've heard Bill Burr talk about it extensively on his podcast about him
he loves them. Everybody knows Bill Burr loves them, and he wants to fly them.
And he did it for that very reason,
that.
the LA traffic.
The LA traffic is fucking notorious. But yeah, I hate it. People pointing across the way at other people. Oh man, come on, you got to share the other 8 people. And then if that wasn't enough, some of the jokes, and then it's like, the people trying to defend the jokes where it's like, listen, man, I don't feel like we can treat people better in death than we treat them in life.
Right.
So that means if I'm a big head, dumb motherfucker, you know.
I'm a big head, dumb motherfucker in death too.
In death too. And go ahead and get y'all jokes off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Don't feel sorry for me. Now, obviously disrespecting my name and joking about my name are two different things that we're gonna get into. But
I just with Kobe, man, like I said, my whole career, his whole career that I've been around, you know, that I watched from the beginning, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big fan or whatever. But it took for this to happen for me to have a connection with him on a human level because he died with his daughter.
Like I said, as a playing level. You know what I'm saying?
He died with his daughter.
At a playing level, you can always not like a player. You know what I mean? As a human level.
On a human level, man, it was like, yo, when I found out his daughter died with him.
Yeah, it was extremely sad.
Man, I was like, as a father and a husband, I was like, God damn. Now I connected there because I was just like, yo.
Right.
You know, I just put myself in his shoes in that moment. And it's like, yo, that's what really fucking... Yeah. It's like the twisting of the knife.
But I hate it, like I said, the pointing of the fingers and people, you know, well, don't joke. And it's like, hey, listen, fam, you ain't beat up Chris Childs yet. So until you kick Chris Childs' ass, that should be at the highest on your list.
Yo, that gift.
Because if y'all don't know, Chris Childs and Kobe got into it back in the day.
He hit him with that 2-piece.
Yeah, Chris Childs caught him with a quick 2-piece.
I loved every minute of that shit when it happened.
Yeah, this is the Tough Talk podcast still. So, you know, we was into that fight shit. Kobe did not have his hands up.
The motherfucker was throwing. I remember the elbows Kobe was throwing against the Sacramento Kings. He was knocking motherfuckers out.
And then I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad you maintained that energy because a big issue I had was when Kobe retired. Some of these people that were fans acting like they liked him all along. I'm like, well, nigga, who booed him in Philly at the All-Star game when he was the MVP and came back home to Philly where he played in high school and motherfuckers booed him because the truth was coming up in the 90s and whatnot.
That he wasn't a true Philly guy.
He was as much as he could. Listen,
I'm saying,
as much as he could help it.
But I'm saying, that's what the big thing. That's
the
what
narrative was, and that's where the divide was. Well, Philly true. Guy. He was, you know, overseas. From Italy, He was from overseas or whatever, but his American home was Philly.
Right.
And I always had issue with people, and let me just go on and state this as a thesis for this entire podcast because this is the issues I be having with people. People be thinking that I be arguing with their ass over morality, but I don't. What I be arguing with people over with is whether or not their ideas are progressive. So when we talk, because a lot of times they feel like it's progressive, and I have to back them up and say like, yo, that's not fucking progressive at all. Right. And I don't care that you think that, but I want you to know that that's not a progressive idea. Here, I'm going to throw you one, and we'll get a little off topic so we can come back to Kobe. This girl was on Twitter, and she was saying, I'm going to try to basically quote what she was saying. The gist of what she was saying was that, you know, they're corny or whatever, so I'll talk in their voice. You know, men who share their girls' OnlyFans accounts and support it and encourage it have big dick energy.
What?
So I retweeted it, and what I said was, exactly, you know, shouts out to pimps everywhere. I'm just like, are you so dumb that basically a dude is sharing naked pictures of you and you think that's supportive?
No.
Like, I don't think he should discourage it, because if that's how you make your money, then fair enough.
Yeah, but
encourage it is like the nigga in a purple hat encourage you showing that pussy.
Exactly.
So what are we really talking about? So for Kobe, the thing that annoyed me about that narrative and people not liking him, you know, back in the day, look, there was a split. There were Iverson fans, niggas who wanted cornrows and tattoos, and they approved of all the off the court thuggery. And then there was Kobe fans, and it was a big divide. And Kobe at the time, pre-rape Kobe, had no tattoos. He was number 8. He was the clean cut guy. And, you know, he wore the suits and whatever else.
Right.
His father had the NBA pedigree. His father played in the NBA, so he was viewed as a rich kid. Being viewed as rich was being viewed
like
as...
a Grant Hill.
Was being,
like
right.
Hill. Right.
2.0. Being viewed as rich was being viewed as soft. which meant you wasn't from the streets. So a lot of people did not like Kobe, and they felt like even with him rapping, he was a wannabe.
Right.
So all the way up to
that rap was ass, but
which is weird because, like I said, I'm trying to think of what would have been his moment. It wasn't winning because when he got booed at the All-Star game, he was winning. Now he was winning with Shaq.
I think a lot of people. This is when I believe that a lot of people jumped over the Kobe bandwagon. The 81-point game.
Yeah,
that's when I started noticing a lot of Kobe fans coming out of the woodwork.
Definitely,
the 81-point game, because all before that it was all Kobe this, Kobe's shitting on him.
And by then,
once
Iverson's
he scored
in Denver.
81, it all changed.
Right.
It all flipped. And I tell a bunch of, and I got in so many arguments with people with so-called Kobe fans all the time about that's the only reason y'all started riding this dick. Was when he scored 81 points.
Because I gotta say,
and let's be honest, he scored 81 against the Toronto Raptors. The
right.
Toronto Raptors at that time.
Oh, my favorite player, by the way, as a child growing up in Indiana, Jalen Rose was my favorite player. And Jalen was on the Raptors by then, and Jalen gets all the bullshit from that game.
I remember. What's my man named Devin Booker?
Yeah.
He had put up 60 about a year or two ago, right? On the Boston Celtics.
Right.
I put up on Facebook or something. I said, Devin Booker's 60 on the Celtics is more impressive than Kobe's 81 on the Raptors. You got
a point, although
and
I'll
motherfuckers got mad. I'm talking about the legion of Kobe'ites came from the they came from the hills.
Talking about some hoops real quick.
81. Oh, he put it. No one's ever. I said, nigga, David Robinson scored 71. That's more impressive.
Fan of Kobe, and I think what made him so great to me was, and I mean the same thing for LeBron, although even more because social media and things started coming around in the internet to where you could have so much pressure on you as a high school kid coming out to meet the expectations. Although I feel like for Kobe, they kind of never let him quite have the keys until he was ready.
Right.
You know, obviously once they traded Shaq, he was ready.
And but this is another thing I tell people too is like I said when Kobe came into a wave because when the debate between LeBron and him, I said Kobe came into a situation where that LA Lakers team was already a playoff team and could have and may have even won a championship, right? Even without him. I said
I don't know if they won a chip.
Yeah, they would have.
They played my Pacers that first year. That boy averaged like 30.
Listen, they had when Kobe came to them. He was a rookie. He was riding the bench.
But
Kobe would have never saw the court had Eddie Jones not hurt his knee. Because the Lakers was deep. They had Eldon Campbell. They had Eldon Campbell. They had just got Shaq.
Right.
They had Eddie
Jones.
Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones hurt himself.
Nick Van Exel.
They had Nick Van Exel. And they had Anthony Peeler on the bench. They was deep at guard.
Not Anthony Peeler.
Anthony Peeler, bro.
That nigga didn't have no eyebrows, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. That motherfucker was dead eye.
He looked like Charlie Villanueva. He looked like a smaller version.
But yo, I tell people, and then when Kobe would come in, he would be doing a whole lot of bullshit, like air balls and all. He was trying to show off. Right. And the coach they had at the time, Dale Harris, would sit his ass down. Sit your ass down. So I've been telling people, I've been watching this motherfucker since the beginning.
I'm telling you.
And I'm not.
I respect you maintaining that. Because like I said, I wouldn't argue with people over their morals. What I would argue with is whether or not that's progressive. So for the black community, I always seen that as just like, it's not his fault that he was raised, in a 2-parent household and that his dad had a steady income from being a former NBA player. Right. It's not his fault that he's not quite truly, really from Philly. Right. That's not his fault. I'm a military kid, so I took somewhat offense to that. And just like, you're not responsible for who you're raised by or the households you come from. And even a little bit, I felt like he was overcompensating with the whole rap thing and different shit. And then obviously once he caught the case, he came back with the tattoos, the number was switched. Then there was the Phoenix Suns battles where Raja Bell was putting him on his ass and he had to play with horrible ass Chris Mim and Kwame Brown, which we laugh about Kwame because he's the only player to get yelled at by Michael Jordan and Kobe. But I love some of the jokes. Like, obviously, as a basketball fan, I had jokes, and I'm like, the first thing he gonna do is smack the fuck out of David Stern when he get up there for vetoing that Chris Paul trade. Because his career ends a lot different if he don't veto that trade. And I said, when he smacked the shit out of David Stern, hold on, when he smacks the shit out of David Stern, he better be abiding by the NBA dress code. David gonna be like, nigga, you getting fined.
I don't know. They probably wouldn't have won because look at Chris Paul's track record. That motherfucker can't win no matter who you put around that motherfucker. He can't. Has it yet?
Hey, it don't take no helicopter crash for me to get defensive.
Yo.
Listen, as a short guy, you would not disrespect Chris
I like
Paul.
CP3.
Oh, we all do.
But the motherfucker can't win.
Stop.
He can't win.
Let me fit. Listen.
In New Orleans,
listen, stop.
Great team.
Listen.
Can't win.
Listen.
You
First
put
of
him
all,
next to James Harden.
Let me finish.
Can't win.
Let me finish.
So who's to say if he would have went to
First
LA?
of all, you're implying that James Harden can win without Chris Paul, and that's not true. It's not true, and I love James. James is dope.
Great. Well, I'm saying that the thing is that when Chris is next to another all-star player,
let me try to put this into perspective for you. We'll start with Exhibit A.
Right,
Exhibit A is the Los Angeles Clippers were a goddamn joke before Chris Paul.
Yeah, I give you that.
Now there was some luck. A lot of people don't win the championship. Just because you ain't win don't mean you lost.
No, but what I'm saying is you're saying that Kobe's career would have been different, would have ended different.
Yes.
But I said, but look at what...
Because they still had Powell.
But look at Chris Paul's track record up to this point.
But
it hasn't been that great.
You're not look. No. Because y'all, hold on.
What?
Because y'all fucked the game up with that championship shit.
Y'all nothing.
Charles, but hold on. Barkley a real motherfucker. I take Barkley over KD. Now, that's not to say that KD ain't better than Barkley. But what I'm telling you is the heart to go out there and get 50 wins and still lose in the playoffs. Because Chris Paul never lost. You can't say he ever won a chip, but you can't say he lost. The Clippers were a goddamn joke. He came, they drafted Blake Griffin. They got DeAndre Jordan.
They got
Jamal Crawford off the bench. But what I'm saying is, who was ever going to beat Golden State? He had the same misfortune as my Pacers with Reggie Miller to always run into dogs. Reggie Miller kept running into Michael Jordan, and you got to beat him to get out. And then Paul George with my Pacers, with Lance Stevenson, kept running into LeBron. LeBron in Miami or LeBron in Cleveland.
The Pacers issue with that you bring up Reggie Miller was that the fact that the entire offense was centered around
him running behind screens, which is some bitch ass shit. But man, he made it look good.
But I'm saying he's a streak shooter. No team that has a streak shooter can win because when he's hot. He's hot.
But I'm just saying.
He's off.
So
Reggie could not create off the dribble.
Let me tell you.
And then there was no other players in there who could really score off the dribble. You had Derek McKee.
Let me tell you.
Antonio and the Davis brothers.
Look.
The only other motherfucker you had on the team that had any instant offense was Rick Smits. And his feet were bad.
We ain't gonna talk.
So, come on.
But we got there in 99. We got there. And this brings us back to Kobe.
When you had more,
brings us back to Kobe. And Kobe and Shaq torched our asses. And the rest is history.
But that's because y'all had no solidified big man down low that can stop
You
Shaq.
think I'm arguing with you?
No.
I'm not arguing
Rick
with
Smith's
you at
feet
all.
Was bad.
You are right about everything that you were saying. All I'm saying is Chris Paul ain't no hoe. And I'm going to tell you the moment. No. Because he got drafted by New Orleans.
He's a great player.
Transformed. Hold on. Then he went to the Clippers. The Clippers were perennial losers. They were bums. Their fans had bags over their face. And Chris Paul should get some credit for getting rid of Donald Sterling's ass. But then Chris Paul won me over against the Grizzlies. Against the Grizzlies. These motherfuckers were down, I want to say 30 points. This motherfucker Chris Paul refused to come out the game. They took all the starters out the game. I woke up somewhere in OT. This nigga was still on the court. He had probably 32 points and 15 assists and 8 rebounds, 6 steals. And I was like, yo, and they won by 2 points and it was by his work. And I said, you can never question. Hold on. Then he gets swapped out to Houston, then he gets swapped back to OKC this year, and you would say to yourself, man, this is going to be the end of that run. That motherfucker's sitting solid in, I think, 6th place or 7th with a bum ass OKC team that he's dragging.
He's a great
because he
player,
plays the right way.
But there's something about him.
Oh,
that he
I'll tell you this, and I don't know if you caught this.
And they say he's an asshole.
I don't. Nigga, you need to be an asshole. Isaiah Thomas was an asshole. As a little guy, you ain't gonna be able to be nice out there.
But also, Isaiah had to be an asshole in that era because being a little guy going to the hole.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get back. We're gonna slide back to Kobe. But for Chris Paul, I don't know if you caught this, but early in the year, a player had his shirt untucked. And Chris Paul chased the referee down and was like, look at him. His shirt's untucked. Look at him. And for a moment you go, whew, that's some bitch ass snitch shit. That's a high snitch factor. But then when you see that they won by like 2 points, you think those 2 free throws helped his ass win.
Wow.
I love Chris Paul. But anyway, back to Kobe. I was saying, the first thing you do is smack the shit out of David Stern. And then the second thing, David Stern is going to find his ass. Because they would have went on to, it wouldn't have ended for Kobe quite as bad if he had Chris Paul. We can debate all day whether or not they're going to win championships.
Hold up, but with that veto trade, they still end up winning titles. Because even with that veto trade, they end up getting Paul Gasol.
No, they had him before that. They would have had Paul Gasol and Chris Paul, I think. I'm pretty sure. No, that was later. Because, listen.
I think that trade enabled, because when they try to get Chris Paul, they shut that trade down. I think then they went around and ended up getting Paul Gasol.
Chris Paul had asked to get the fuck out of New Orleans because he realized they weren't going to get him help. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm telling you that you should know,
the NBA owned
the reason I'm telling you,
yeah,
it was a whole thing. Yeah. The reason I'm telling you that you should know that was after is because they had already won, and it was after.
The Lakers had already
won. And the reason that no one really made a huge deal about them not getting him was because they'd already won, and it was like, y'all just helping the rich get richer if he goes there. Mm-hmm. So, but also Blake Griffin's coming into the league at the time because he's sitting there. He sat out a whole year. Mm-hmm. And I think the first year he's back, Chris Paul is there.
He got injured. Blake
and sat out that whole first rookie year, and then he comes back the next year, and they put the two of them together, and that became Lob City and all that. Right. But what I'm saying is Kobe already had power because they had already played the Celtics in the finals or whatever else. Okay. And Chris Paul was against the Spurs and fucking one-handedly winning, you know. Yeah. I think they wound up losing the series, but after that, everybody was like, you can't disrespect
Chris Paul was in New Orleans. Him and
Chandler and David West.
Chandler and David West had a great team. Oh. It was just, they had Gennaro Pargo off the bench.
Well, that's why I'm telling you.
Shitty, like, bench. Their bench wasn't
that great. The narrative on L.A. always has been, just as you named, Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Shaq. They always had more than enough help, and even when they didn't have help, you knew help was coming because the salary cap and people wanted to play in LA. Nobody, there's a guy from Indianapolis, no one's signing free agent deals to come to Indy. No. If you wound up in Indy, you got traded there, or there's some other weird reason.
I think in Indianapolis, with the Pacers, the worst thing y'all did was letting Chuck Person leave. When y'all broke up
the Rifleman,
when y'all had Reggie and Chuck Person together, that was some good shit.
Which we not gonna. We are two black men, and we could sit here all day and talk about the NBA. Niggas.
No, but you're talking about my era of the NBA that I actually paid attention. I bought the games.
Barbershop. We could sit in the barbershop all day and argue.
I stopped paying attention to the NBA within in the Kobe's reign.
You gotta leave the barbershop because niggas would be in there like, yo, who was better? Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? And you're like, man, that's the same person.
But that's a good argument.
Good argument, man. Who you think was better, Anthony Hardaway or Penny Hardaway? And you like, fam, these are the same people. So yeah, we could argue all day, but what I always respected about Kobe was he took the weight. He bit off more than he could chew sometimes, but he stood behind it, and he came out the next game just as confident. One of my favorite Kobe plays all time, UNLV game, I think it's preseason. This motherfucker comes out, crosses dude over, takes one more dribble, and takes it off from damn near the free throw line, and dunks that shit and gets a foul.
Yeah, I remember that.
And won. So it's like,
yo, lost their mind.
And every summer he came back better.
Everybody lost their mind, and I was like, well, Vince Carter's dunk was better.
Yeah. And those are the later arguments because eventually Iverson wound up in Denver and then refused to come off the bench, so that movement kind of died. Yeah. Then there was Vince Carter, and then he kind of started dying out a little, and then there was always Paul Pierce and Tracy McGrady was the closest, and even Kobe said Tracy was the guy because he was slightly taller.
The guy.
And
a lot of people forget about Tracy.
And then knee injuries obviously took him out.
The back too. Yeah,
and then by then it was all Kobe. And he got Powell, Andrew Bynum.
This was my knock with Kobe. Was why I was a Kobe hater, because even before YouTube came out with all the videos and shit, I was telling motherfuckers he's a copycat Jordan.
Fair.
I was saying it back then, and people was like, "Oh, get out of here." I'm like, dude. He wears his uniform like him.
But you know you can't tell
He walks like him.
Truth.
He talks like him.
You can't tell the
truth.
truth.
He does everything like Mike. I said, so that's why, like, real Bulls fans was sick of Kobe. It was like, dude, this guy is Mike. But then the thing that really pissed me off with him was when he would do interviews and they would and Ahmad Rashad would try to get it out of him. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, who was your guy who inspired you, your game and everything like that. He would like leave it open and he would go, oh, I studied a lot of players. Elgin Baylor. I swear to God, Larry Bird.
He always admitted it.
No. Early on, he did not.
He always admitted
I watched the episode. I think it was an interview with him and Ahmad Rashad. And he named everybody but Mike. And it could have been because Mike was still playing.
Yeah.
That he didn't want to give him that.
Right.
But it was evident that, you play and do everything.
He chewed gum like Mike. That's why I'm saying to you, I would have to disagree. He always copped to the fact that he loved Michael Jordan.
Dude, no,
he walked like him, talked like him, spoke like him.
In the beginning. He did not. And I would argue with my friends to the hilt that, this motherfucker play and wear his uniform, everything like Mike. Even my boy's big brother, who's a diehard Bulls fan, he and I would always say, this motherfucker makes me sick because he's playing like Mike. Yes. And he don't want to admit it. Like, he's doing everything like Mike. And we watched the interviews and he would never give it to him. It wasn't until as years went by, Mike's away from the game, and then the YouTube start coming up, and people start sharing the videos. Then all of a sudden, he inspired me a great deal. Blah blah blah. It's like, oh, now he wants to admit it. But a lot of Bulls fans didn't like him for that. It was like, you play just like him. So I don't know. Yeah. Rest in peace.
We'll take a slight
in the late right joint.
But yeah, man, fucking Kobe, a lot of strong feelings as we could talk all day as far as playing, but I always felt like I said, I struggled with that argument from the black community of just like, this motherfucker is affluent and speaks Italian and whatever else. And y'all making him hide it because he ain't from the streets. And then once Iverson started kind of dying down, then all of a sudden he was getting washed by Phoenix and those 60-second or less teams with Mike D'Antoni. And then, getting punked by Raja Bell all over the court. Then he got Powell, he got Bynum, Lamar Odom, all them motherfuckers. And then they won. And then everybody started, all of a sudden, Lil Wayne was a fan and dropping songs dedicated to Kobe. Yeah. Which was like, fair enough. He earned that.
Everything you bring it up is what I bring up to Lakers
as fans. A player, my beef will always be this. And I think this is funny because one of those titles that he wins alone deserves an asterisk because Kevin Garnett broke his leg and then shouts out to Dwight Howard, bitch ass. Because they robbed us of the LeBron Kobe finals. They were both in their prime. LeBron was a number 1 seed with the Cavs. Yeah, and they lost. And KG broke his leg 1 month before the playoffs. And it was the summer after the first Lakers-Celtics battle. Because that's how KG gets his title. When they did not have Andrew Bynum that year. And it was just Kobe, Powell, Lamar. And the Celtics beat them up. Up front in the paint. Kobe, KG, and Kendrick Perkins, who was, as KD said last week or so, he averaged a whopping 3 points and 4 rebounds. But he was an intimidator. He was an enforcer. And then the next summer, they were supposed to meet again in the finals. KG breaks his leg 1 month before the playoffs. And like I said, Dwight Howard, bitch ass, stole LeBron's finals run. Everybody wanted to see LeBron versus Kobe in their prime in the finals.
They even had commercials and shit.
And LeBron, people forget this. And people printed up T-shirts and shit. Because everyone thought...
It wasn't just Dwight Howard. It was Hito Turkoglu.
Yes,
Hito Turkoglu
and Rashard Lewis and Jameer Nelson, and they had shooters. And the one way you always could beat LeBron is to pack the paint. That's how the Celtics beat him, and that's how the Magic beat him. Because people forget it was Game 6 he lost in, and I think they were up and wound up. The Magic ran off like 3 in a row on them. I might be wrong on that, but LeBron left the court without shaking their hands. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, Dwight Howard goes to the finals, and the Lakers beat them 4-1. They basically kicked their ass, and then everybody scratched their head going, how did they even get here? It was a bad NBA finals. But like I said, everybody forgot KG broke his leg. Mm-hmm. Then the very next year, KG's back, and Lakers Celtics 2, and the Lakers wound up winning with Andrew Bynum because they had some paint power for him or whatever. And I think they had traded Perkins by then.
Yeah, Perkins was gone.
I love Twitter because Kendrick's a personality on there. He's been on ESPN and he got the back and forth with KD. But nobody was ready to laugh about Kobe until about the second day. Like when people say too soon, sometimes literally, nigga, too soon.
Right.
Kendrick Perkins came on Twitter, I think the second day, and goes, yeah, man, I can't even sleep thinking about Kobe. Think I'm going to go out in the driveway and put up a few fadeaway jumpers for Kobe. And the internet went, Negro, please, don't you do shit for Kobe. Like all them bricks, you gonna wake up the neighbors. Like your backboard gonna break. And then it was like, all right, everybody ready to laugh now. And we'll go ahead and get to this next segment. Hilarious. And like I was saying, I won't argue with you about your morals, but I'll argue with you all day about whether or not those thoughts are progressive. So all that, support my OnlyFans account or else you're not a real man, which I'm like, first off, bitch, that's reverse psychology.
Yeah.
That's like me being like, bail me out of jail or you ain't a real woman. Now granted, you selling naked pictures of your ass ain't illegal, but everyone has an ass, and that's where I'm willing to argue with you. Like, well, if everyone has an ass, how you argue that your ass is worth $3?
Yeah, is any special $3
some of y'all asses,
or $20 a month?
Some of their asses is certainly worth some money. I will say that as a fan of some of their shit, but definitely not worth a subscription.
No,
your ass is not Comcast.
Not at all.
Nigga about to pay per month to see a picture of your ass.
Could you imagine that your account goes overdrafts behind you?
Over an OnlyFans? It depends on who it is.
Like, what the fuck? No.
If it's Malaya.
No, ain't none of them bitches' ass worth an overdraft fee.
I'm joking, but I'm just saying.
Plus a 35?
I'm just saying, if your account goes into overdraft for Malaya Michelle's OnlyFans, look, the dude working at the bank might see her ass and throw you $3 more in just to help you out.
I don't know.
But
I'm not a fan of Malaya's vegan booty.
If that girl work at Kroger's, you definitely should not be in the overdraft.
Malaya Michelle, she got a vegan
nice,
booty.
Dog.
She nice, but
I do hate that she talks about all that vegan.
Don't say
shit
the vegan booty
it's
like
corny,
because the booty don't sit up like it used to when she was eating meat. When she was eating meat, it was sitting up.
Booty?
It's a different booty. It was a lot more hardy.
It's like number 8 and number 24.
Yeah, it was a lot more hardy. Then she went vegan. That was kind of like
and now it wears the jersey 24 and it's a little too cocky. All of a sudden there's tattoos. And
I'm not feeling it.
Hey, man.
Malaya Michelle, before she was a vegan,
that number 8 booty.
And heavy.
Not the number 24 booty. Me, I'm a fan.
This is more of a 45. This is
45
Jordan. Because it's not even
6 months.
Yeah, Nick Anderson is picking this.
She been playing baseball.
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway beats this booty.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a fan of both booties, Malaya. If you're out there listening, I'm a fan of both booties. Go back
booties. Eat meat, yo. Get this some hardy meat.
I like the non-GMO booty and the GMO booty.
Yeah, that shit before was more like a Campbell's Chunky Soup booty.
I
don't know what
organic and I like non-organic, so it is what it is, Malaya. If you're listening, I'm not a hater. I like number 8 and I like number 24. I don't care if you play with Shaq or you play with Powell. I like it all. I even fuck with you a little bit when you're getting pushed around by Raja Bell. But yeah, so sometimes it do take a little bit of time. I think Too Soon is literal, and we'll go ahead and get to it. Obviously, the big
joke gotta be real
the
good.
big comedy story this week, if you've been living under a goddamn rock, was that Ari Shaffir, who I gotta go out on a limb and say, I'll start this by saying, just like I said earlier, I don't debate other comics' morals. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and I will defend it, but it has to be a joke.
Right.
And I think that's where this whole thing went left, was that
it didn't come off.
A lot of comedians, and I'll say just white people in general, don't seem to understand the difference between a joke and mocking or just insulting somebody. So within 10 minutes or so, if you guys don't know of Kobe dying, comedian Ari Shaffir decides that he's going to go online and tweet, fuck Kobe, he's a stupid ass rapist, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't even care the specifics of it. Now, the tweet wasn't enough.
He made a video.
The dummy's going to go make a video and go, yeah, I'm here in Charlotte where Kobe was drafted and he's a black goofy-ass rapist and blah, blibbity, blah, blah.
Like,
fuck him. He deserves to die. He died 23 years too late. And it's just like 23. Is that Michael Jordan reference? What are you even talking about?
He wouldn't even been old enough to even be.
Dude, I don't even care to get into the semantics of what the fuck he was saying, but it was just like, fam, that's not a joke. There's no punchline within there. Yeah, and then this is the part I really hate. If you're a comedian and you're listening, stand by your fucking words, man. Whatever you said, just mean that shit all the way. Let's keep it 1,000. Lenny Bruce got arrested for saying shit. Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, Red Fox all had to come in the back rooms of segregated places and tell jokes. So speech ain't free. It's really never been. It's a lot of people made sacrifices so you could stand on stage or your Instagram or your Twitter and say what you say. So all I'm going to say as a comic and as someone who often says things that pisses people off, stand by it. When it's time to fight, it's time to fight. I've almost had to fight for shit I said. And they like to go, oh, well, death threats. That's where I draw the line. And it's like, well, then you have a line. Clearly something offends you. You can't say, well, jokes are just words. Well, so are death threats.
So are death threats, yeah.
And I truly don't believe anybody that sends a death threat is actually going to do anything to you. The problem that you run into is
motherfuckers who don't say shit.
People who ain't going to say shit, one, and also two, because someone said to me, well, Phil, how many people do you think will truly slap somebody over a person that they never met? And I said, no. It's motherfuckers that just want to smack somebody and they looking for a reason and you just gave them a reason. And that's why you shouldn't do that. This motherfucker gonna try to say, oh, well, I was hacked. And it's like, so you're not standing on what you saying.
He backtracked from that and released another statement saying that he does this every time a really popular or famous person dies. He shits on him. So now you're owning it. But before,
he should have just owned it.
Yeah, before
and that's
that,
where he lost me at. He wasn't willing to stand on it. And like I said, I'm not going to defend it because this wasn't a goddamn joke. And this was different from Dina Hashem a few months ago made a joke on Comedy Central about Triple X that had died.
But it wasn't even about him.
But hold on. But it was in reference to, and like I said, me and you disagreed on that, I think. And I think we both can agree that at least she was telling a joke.
Yeah, there was some.
He wasn't even telling a fucking joke. He just was saying a list of things that he did not like about Kobe. That it was just like, hey, dog, every time, and this is how black people feel. How come it's always okay to make fun of a dead black person? And that's really the line. And then I wouldn't disagree with you saying it, but just like I've been saying this whole podcast, my issue ain't your morality. My issue is you feeling like that's brave.
Right.
A motherfucker dead and can't defend themselves, but somehow you're brave. Then once he started getting death threats, I started seeing comedians. I think it was Ian Fidance said something on Twitter about, hey, come on, guys, death threats. And I went right into the comments and went, it's 8 or 9 people dead. Ari Shaffir is not no victim. You know what I mean? Like, you can't jump out the window and say some shit like that and then think that everyone has to defend you.
Right.
I don't have to defend goddamn Michael Richards. You jumped out the window and said that. Now, here's my thing. I don't ever want a comedian to lose work or to be, you know, for the stage to not be open to them all of a sudden because they said something. I say a lot of shit. But I do think when somebody gets your address and says come outside, you should have to bring your ass outside and say that shit just as loud as you were saying it. Mm-hmm. So that's my whole opinion on the whole thing. Now, obviously, I shouldn't have to say this part. If you know, you know. New York Comedy Club got shut down, or, you know, they couldn't do their business. You know, the workers fear for their lives or whatever because people were calling the clubs because this dumbass idiot leaves his schedule online and then people see, oh, he's going to be at New York Comedy Club. Yeah. And then they started calling the club to say, we're going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
And I know the staff over there, you know, shouts out to Drew, Amy, Emilio, the whole family. I don't agree with that shit at all. I don't want other people to be threatened because you were so stupid to do such a stupid thing. But
then think about, like, he's in LA a lot. So now can you really go back to the Comedy Store? Can you really go back to... I mean,
you can, but how safe do you feel? And I know these white people, a lot of bookers are white, a lot of the comedy club owners are white. And low-key, a lot of people felt bad, did not fuck with Kobe for that case that he caught. Mm-hmm. And fair enough. But same time, like I said, eventually when you start fucking up people's money, you're going to have to face the consequence. Mm-hmm. Although, like I said,
he got dropped by his fucking representatives.
And you know, with a lot of these white dudes, it's just like, what was being represented anyway? When he did his Comedy Central special, this fool goes on the stage and makes fun of a fat girl with one arm and says her name. And then Comedy Central takes the shit and puts it up. And then it's just like, I gotta ask, as a black performer, I don't think I'd have been granted that same freedom. You gonna go on stage and say somebody's name? I'm not mad. I ain't against somebody calling somebody fat. Mm-hmm. But when you say their name and they got one arm, it's just like, again, I wouldn't argue with you over the morals. Mm-hmm. You can say that shit. But where I'm going to disagree with you is this thought that that's progressive. Yeah. Or somehow, you know.
And I was reading an article where she was like, she shared all of maybe a paragraph of conversation with this dude.
Yeah.
She didn't even know him like that.
This idea that it's brave is where I'm going to disagree and have to say, nah, man. Like I said, someone's dead. They can't defend themselves. Right. So what is brave about you kicking somebody's grave? Now, the joke is the joke, but this wasn't a joke. It was mockery. Yeah. Some of y'all need to go back to comedy class 101 and learn the difference between just saying shit and jokes.
And jokes, it being an angle.
And yeah, there being an angle. Like I said, I disagree with Dina, with Dina's joke, but I have to say Dina told a goddamn joke. Mm-hmm. And like I said, fair enough. Your death threats are your death threats. It's how do you get dead? Death threats is how you get dead. So I have to say...
And death threats come with actual punchlines.
Yeah. Well, read that shit with the same energy that you read your joke with. Because, like I said, I don't really think that a lot of people who send you threats are going to do anything to you. And you know, Triple X fans, a bunch of young niggas with green dreads that it's just like, you shouldn't be afraid of nobody's nephew. You know what I mean? We older cats, so we look at them kids like, don't y'all take a bunch of pills and sing halfway rap and halfway sing about depression? Yeah. So go in your room and be depressed, little nigga, and let me handle these jokes.
Look, by the time they make it out the house to serve you some justice, it's been a week then passed by from them taking their pills and shit.
Right, but yeah, he jumped out the window and said that, and it just created this shitstorm. And I think, especially for white comics, if y'all are listening to this, y'all don't be understanding what come with being black and that. I had people outside of comedy that don't do comedy that hit me up like, hey, dog, how was you? I'm like, I'm good. What's up? You know, they live... Well, one of my dudes live in Michigan. He like, yo, so who in the fuck is Ari Shaffir? And now I gotta explain, like, you know, he is one of us. I have met him, But yeah, we don't approve of what the fuck he said at all. And that's the thing, that sometimes some of these white comedians, as a black comedian and us all being comedians, they'll, like, we just grew up in two different ways, you know what I mean? We grew up to where it was like, yo, freedom of speech is fine, but that's some cul-de-sac bullshit. Like,
Cul-de-sac
where we live, you said something about somebody's mama, and that shit was funny, and we did laugh, but we also laughed when you got your ass whooped. So unless you can defend yourself or you got a permit for a gun, probably shut the fuck up and just let some time pass. Like I said, if you went on Twitter for Kobe's death, it was all sad shit and just remembering his name for like a day. Kendrick Perkins kind of broke the shit to where people had to be like, nah, fam, don't shoot them shits for Kobe. Leave Kobe out your nonsense. And I'm sure it was somebody somewhere bombing in the Kobe jersey too. So leave Kobe out of a lot of y'all bullshit. So yeah, man. Did you have any thoughts on Ari other than what I just said?
I didn't know much about the motherfucker outside of my boy would bring his name up, different shit. I don't see the big.
And like I said, I fuck with them. I've been on Louis Gomez's podcast, Legion of Skanks. I fuck with them. Like, those are the homies, and like I said, what they represent. I get that, you know, there needs to be a space for what you call dark comedy and all that kind of shit. Because there's people that enjoy it, but at the same time, like,
it's gotta be a joke, man. Like, when I watched the video numerous times, and I'm fall for dark comedy too. I really am. Like, I laugh at some of the illest shit. But my thing is, like you said, I watched the new. I'm looking for the angle. I'm looking for the premise. I'm looking for something, and I didn't see anything. And it was just like, nah, that's a statement. That ain't the. You can't hide behind the title of being a comedian once the backlash comes that you don't want to face. It's like you said, if you're gonna say it and stand by it. Then when you post, I was hacked. Then you do all of these other things. Now you're ready to
backpedaling. You're insulting people's intelligence.
Yeah. Now you want to post a backhanded statement of, oh, this is what I do. It's part of my shtick.
Yeah.
And nah, bro. It's like,
it's just like, well, get another stick.
You know, it's like my thing is like it's a real big difference between him and, say, Anthony Jeselnik. Yeah. Anthony Jeselnik will post something that, you know, he will say something about a traumatic incident, but it has an angle.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can clearly see, an angle. Even if it pisses you off, you go, I can clearly see.
And less than anything, it was lazy. And that's where, as a comedian, you just go, why I gotta defend that shit, fam? Yeah. Like I said, to me, the joke was in, you know, like I said, I made my little joke. Oh, man, he passed. Must have been triple teamed, because ain't no way he would pass if he wasn't triple teamed. Or, like I said, you know, the easy joke was, man, he just got to heaven David Stern up there. He gonna smack the shit out of David Stern.
The one that I said when we first heard about it and we came back from break and shit, me and Usama, he's like, I said the irony is that LeBron just passed him on the scoring list. I said, and Kobe is such a competitor to the end, is that he refused for him to have the lead story.
He's like, watch this next trick, motherfucker.
Like, open my dead body. Like, it's like, he's gonna pass me on the scoring list, open my dead body. So that's where my mind was going with the jokes. But like you said, you hear all of those, it's all in good taste.
Yeah, it's a release valve. It's somewhat therapeutic to him.
And it's like, hey, and man, it's actually paying homage to the dude's competitive nature of how he was on the court.
I was ready to be mad, but then you said that, and I laughed a little bit. And that's, you know, kind of where we belong in the game. And like I said, I try not to police other comics or get into it about what you say. And as I've been saying this whole episode, it ain't your morality or what you're willing to joke about. I'm going to debate you on whether or not that thought is progressive, and this whole idea that, oh, well, I'm being brave. Nah. Well, if you felt like that was brave, I'll tell you what's braver than that. Going outside when somebody says, hey, I'm going to kill your bitch ass. Come outside. That's what's brave, and that's what's progressive, because you're willing to match that same energy that you put out there. But don't insult people's intelligence and start acting like... We started this episode by talking about, you know, how black comics will pretend that black audiences don't like jokes, when the fact is they don't like your jokes, which probably aren't good jokes. And it's like, yeah, don't act like, Chris Rock's audience on Bigger and Blacker, when did he do that shit? Was that the one that's at the Apollo? And then Bring the Pain is in D.C., and it's a predominantly black crowd. So what I didn't like with the Dina thing was that people pretended like black people couldn't recognize a joke or take a joke. And it's like, nah, they're telling you they didn't feel like that joke was good. And I mean, I know she tried to sidestep it, and I know Dina, so I'm not going in on Dina or to say she's a bad person. She's a good comic. I respect her. We've worked together. I like Dina, but I'm just saying, to people, the risk almost has to, or the result has to outweigh the risk, to where you have to get a bigger laugh more almost than you made them think about somebody's death. And I mean, she did do a disclaimer on the joke and everything, but it was like, people just didn't feel like the result outweighed the risk. And like I said, that's debatable because that was a joke.
Right. At least it was in the
done on a stage. She was holding a mic. Right. But this thing was just literally somebody spitting on somebody's grave. And like I said, to me, I have a severe level of narcissism, but I would have stopped at the tweet. Like, shit, y'all really mad.
But this
delete.
But this thing too is like, you seen how many likes that tweet got, which also fueled his
narcissism.
You know what I mean? His narcissism, which made him go and make a video to double down on it. So he's seen how many likes he got, how many reshares, how many whatever. And there's people out there who agree with him. There's legions of people out there who like what he did.
Because I think if he'd have done that 3 days, if he'd have done that today, I don't think anybody would have cared. I think literally sometimes you can be too soon, motherfucker. Yeah. Too soon.
Maybe. Kobe's been lead story for the last 72 hours. So
right.
I think he still would have made
now 72 hours, brother. Now ask yourself, what number did he wear? What's 8 times 9? 72. And if that ain't adding up, it's because you subtracting, brother. They subtracting. Now, if you don't know who they are, that's a whole nother story.
How many letters are in they?
Sometimes it's literally too soon, folks. Learn the difference between jokes and mockery. I think this is better. We got a little bit more here, though, man. I do wish the internet could go back to Tyler Perry. Did you watch Tyler Perry's new movie?
No, I don't.
I
don't put myself through that.
I have the privilege of dating black women myself, so I've suffered through many a Tyler Perry movie.
I refuse.
It's got me thinking about switching to white women. This last one, I can't even tell you the name.
She may have you watch him thinking that you like him.
No,
you go and date a white woman and I love Tyler Perry. You be like, motherfucker, I've been trying to escape this shit.
She wearing Jordans.
Yeah, like she thinks she's like hamming it up for you. It's
but this last one, dog, the internet tore it up. I mean, it was all
the wigs, right?
All bad wigs, and people were screenshotting it,
but people were saying the story is good.
But that's why his audience is black women and older ones at that. People like to pretend.
Church crowd.
Right. Yeah. People like to pretend that audience doesn't exist, but it does. And I mean,
in a big way.
But for me, it was just like, come on, man. Really? Is there ever a good black man in these movies?
No, that's why I don't watch him.
He's super light skinned.
No, the only movie he did that I liked was Acrimony. That was the only movie he did that I watched. Because my old lady was trying to get me to watch it. I said, you know what, I'll check it out with you. I was like, I don't watch that shit. It's Tyler Perry.
Which I can
tell.
But
I watched it. I was like, yo, okay. This is best movie.
I can tell over my about 15, 20 years or so of being in relationships and not being in them by which Tyler Perry movies I've seen. I can literally be like, I was in a relationship from 2006 to 2009. I can tell because I saw every Tyler Perry movie between now and then. But the internet was tearing his ass up. This one, he kidnapped some people or whatever. And the dark twist had people calling him Tyler M. Night Shyamalan Perry. And that shit had me dying laughing. Just like, damn, this dude, man.
At least his movie probably wasn't as dry as M. Night Shyamalan.
I can't say I've ever seen any of his movies.
Ooh,
I
M. Night
just
Shyamalan?
know about him because
Really?
people mock him. Yeah.
Really? You never watched M. Night Shyamalan?
What movies are they?
You got the Unbreakable. You got the Unbreakable. You got was it Glass? You got
Mr. Glass?
Yeah, you got Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass is in Unbreakable.
But he also has his own solo movie, Glass.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
Well, not solo movie, but it's the sequel to
Unbreakable.
And it's also the sequel to what's the other one? With my man, he kidnaps the girls and he has the multiple personalities.
Hell if I know.
Split.
Okay.
The movie Split is an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Sixth Sense is an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I'm gonna have to check
Bruce
out.
Willis, you never watched?
Okay. I remember I see dead people and all that.
That's his movie.
I more learn shit from people's jokes.
Was it called the Fog or the Mist or some shit? That one, that's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's like, yeah, M. Night Shyamalan to me, he makes.
He got some joints.
He got some shit,
but he also
makes some bullshit too.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to set up for the dark twist, and
yeah.
Sometimes you can see it coming from a mile away.
Sometimes you can't.
With this last Tyler Perry joint, but I hate that people trash him. Like I said, his audience is real. This motherfucker was homeless, slept in his car.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and made his career as a playwright. I think what it is people forget that he was a playwright, and that same skill doesn't necessarily translate to movies sometimes. Yeah. I feel like people maybe can see it coming from a mile away.
This is the thing. You don't have to like his shit, but his shit generates money.
Exactly.
Like, motherfuckers go out and they spend
and that's what I was
money
saying.
To watch.
And
like,
to where
even when they bring up the whole thing about when he revealed, which I don't know how this was a revelation, that he doesn't have a writing team.
Right.
Like, he's the only one.
You were like, nigga, duh.
And people shit on him about that. I'm like, do you know this guy? Like everything you just mentioned. He was homeless. He wrote all of those plays by himself.
Right.
He directed all of those plays by himself. He did all. As much as I don't like Tyler Perry's art,
nah,
I respect his hustle.
Hell yeah.
And the fact that he wrote himself to a $1 billion enterprise.
And people make fun of Medea, but it's like you have to create a great character for anybody to mock it. Because bad characters, nobody mocks bad characters. Yeah. That shit just is what it is, and then people act like they never saw it or they forget they did. So I was saying the same thing you were saying, and then when I saw black women coming for his head on Twitter, it's like, he needs to hire more black writers. I'm going, okay, he's put 12 black women in this movie, and then who knows how many behind cameras. Mm-hmm. And the reason that he's allowed to work the way that he does is that he circumvented traditional institutions, so SAG and all that stuff, he works around it, and that's the reason he doesn't work by the same rules and regulations that they do. But I'm also going, he ain't powered by generational wealth.
Right.
Shit, Weinstein was in the union and paying writers. Is that really what you want? Somebody said, "Oh, he fed his workers pizza," and I said, "It's better than what Weinstein fed him."
He did what? He fed.
I bet he fed him some cheap pizza during the breaks, and
but they're probably gonna make money off the points that the thing sells.
And like I said,
you know what I'm saying, he probably is able to break them off a bigger piece.
Exactly,
in the end.
It's better than what Weinstein fed his staff. So, like I said, let dude do his thing. But I saw them being like, "Oh, he needs black writers and black women writers," and I'm going,
he's built his whole.
But I'm going, Issa Rae ain't complaining. She ain't saying that. Shonda Rhimes ain't complaining. Hell, the girl who wrote Power is Courtney Kemp. She ain't complaining. I'm going, none of these actual black women that put in work are sitting around waiting for Tyler.
Right.
He slept in his car. Who the fuck was he waiting for?
Right.
Get up off your ass and make your shit. You got cameras.
That's their way of, but it's almost like what the girl, what's her name, Lena Waithe
yes.
did when she called out Will Smith and all that. Why don't you take and do whatever for black creatives and other? It's like, man, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like,
although I'll say I do like Lena Waithe's work, but here's what I'm gonna give you on that, and this is what I be hating, is that we still sometimes as black people fall for the pump fake. The media has a way of pitting us against each other, because I don't even think Lena said that. Like, I think
there you go, conspiracy.
I think no. Listen, exactly, my brother. Now Lena Waithe, she was born in April. What is that? That's a 4. Now take that and subtract it from the amount of women she's cheated on. Now what you get? Same number. Now, how many blades a helicopter got? So anyway, yeah.
4. That makes 8, which is Kobe's jersey number. Like, nah.
And I'm trying to tell you, she is both queen and slim, brother. Now ask yourself, who made us slim? They did. So anyway, nah.
They has 4 letters in it.
Boom. Back to number 4.
Full circle.
Boom.
Or look,
now,
or
how many,
infinity, or the number 8, as we say.
Now, how many letters you spell Ari with? Uh-oh.
3.
You wasn't ready?
3. Got you there.
M. Night Shyamalan ain't twisted like I just did. But, I think sometimes they pit us against each other. Mm-hmm. You know, they looking for buzzwords. So you could say, I would gather, that interview, Lena said 100 good things about Will Smith, and then she said one thing she would like to see him do more, and they took that and ran with it. And even this week with Terry Crews, I don't know if you picked up on the whole thing.
No, but I've seen people mention it. Is that when he said something about how
America's Got Talent and Gabby Union?
He's never experienced any...
But he didn't... He said all the right things. He said, you know, y'all speaking on sexism. I'm a man. I'm not qualified to speak on that. I disagree. But I'm still like, he said all the right things, and still, here they are at his neck. And that's why I don't like Black Twitter. I feel like every week we put one of our own on the chopping block. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, for what? Semantics? Mm-hmm. The man basically tried to get out the way. And I'll be the first to tell you, I wouldn't want to defend Terry Crews because I had an issue with him, the whole him versus D.L. Hewley thing, where I didn't agree with D.L. Hewley because I'm like, obviously you're a black man in America. You can't be smacking people who've done things to you because you know where that's going to put you in this business. Right. But at the same time, I felt like Terry was a little too loud, where it's like, yo, Me Too is for women. It's a chance for them to get their stories off. Yo, black ass is 6'2", 280 pounds or whatever, solid. Mm-hmm. No, you're talking a little too much about this and a little too loud.
What annoyed me with him was the whole, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And motherfucker, you made your entire everything off of so-called toxic masculinity.
Right.
You're a former football player. You put yourself on TV pumping your fucking chest. Doing all of this shit.
Well, him playing the dude in Friday. When it's like, nigga, it was cool when you was chasing down people and basically making fun of homophobia almost.
Yeah, that
damn near being rapey.
And rapey.
Yeah.
So
And making
it's like,
we were laughing at that.
You made your entire career
a little bit. Although, same time, I was looking at it on Twitter and he was getting killed. And I was like, Terry, you got one play left, brother. You from Flint, Michigan. You need to drop that. Hey, but I'm from Flint, Michigan, card.
Just lay in the water.
How many letters is Flint? It's 4.
4 letters.
How many letters is Lena? It's 4. What? How many letters is Kobe?
No.
4. I said, Terry Crews, you got to drop your Flint card and be like, look, that is fucked up that water. How y'all coming at me when the water still ain't clean? Talk about toxic masculinity, but won't talk about
toxicity in me.
Water systems is what you need to be worried about.
That's funny.
And I mean, Terry's again, black man busted ass forever, NFL. Went over there and did that, was a walk-on football player, so I don't want to take shots at Terry Crews.
But stand on being a man. Stand on what we are,
yes,
who we are.
I didn't like him
about it. Don't sit there and throw what manhood to be that helped you survive Flint, Michigan, and all to this point.
Right.
Then go once you made it to a particular area, you throw everything under the bus and go, everything, my whole life is a lie, basically.
Yes.
And that shit made me sick to my fucking stomach. It's
pointing
like,
fingers at other men was what.
And also the environment. He also faulted the environment that he was in that groomed him to be the man that he became. It's
little bit.
It's like, motherfucker.
When it's like, no, those are your choices.
You knew that's the way that you have to navigate that fucking environment.
You knew in football that when you get hurt, they're going to try to make you play. So don't act like toxic masculinity was the reason for that.
No, it's business, motherfucker.
And I'm not saying it's right, but I'm also saying to you knew what came with the game, when you took it.
Exactly.
Wrong or right. So pointing fingers is a little bit kind of silly and insulting to our intelligence. So just like, yes, they're very toxically masculine in the NFL. Yeah, which, like, again, like I'm saying, I would really want to insult his.
But my thing is, I'm not disagreeing. But what I'm saying is, with everything he's coming with, it's a violent fucking game.
Right.
It's toxic masculinity to operate on a battlefield. If that's the case, on a battlefield,
yes,
or any life-threatening,
toxic masculinity protects us and keeps us alive.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
At a certain extent.
I remember one time it was this chick. She posted this status about how she didn't like the way the football coach was talking to his son.
Yeah. And
listen, I grew up playing Pop Warner football. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends, we all forged a bond and everything through playing Pop Warner football. Our coach, now we thought back to it. I said, if I think back to it, man, Coach Don, that was child abuse.
Yes.
What he did. But it helped us as young men.
Yes.
Because it made you prepared for what you was going to deal with on that field.
And in real life.
And in real life, it transferred over.
When nobody cared that you ain't got the grant or why you ain't got it.
Exactly. It transfers over. So it's like, it prepared you early that no one gives a fuck about men.
And I'm going to tell you how toxic masculinity, and I'm going to tell you how I support your logic of it making the best coaches. Mm-hmm. Who's the last undefeated college team?
Fuck, who's it?
Bobby Knight.
Oh, you talking basketball.
Bobby Knight used to choke motherfuckers and throw chairs. Toxic masculinity got the goddamn job done.
Somebody should have. I'm saying I still want to see somebody hit that motherfucker with a 2-piece.
And again,
on some real shit.
It was actually
because not many of his players turned out to be good NBA players, though.
Well, that's a whole nother...
Isaiah Thomas,
that's a whole nother story. A lot of them were white. I'm from Indiana. It's a very white state.
Yes.
So, yes, Steve Alford did not turn out to be a great NBA player.
Even other black players who came from him.
You know damn well. Look, I'm from Indiana, dog. What did I say about an hour ago on this podcast? A lot of people ain't coming to Indiana, dog.
That's true.
Unless your mama and them from there.
Especially if he choking motherfuckers.
And not in the 70s. So God bless Isaiah Thomas for being right next to us in Chicago.
You know Larry Bird was supposed to go there, and he ended up going to Indiana.
Oh, it was a whole thing.
He probably figured out that Bobby Knight was over there choking motherfuckers. So he's like, nah.
If you had a time machine, what you would actually do is go back and somehow send Bobby Knight to recruit Latrell Sprewell and then just let that happen. But again,
I knew you were going
toxic masculinity. See, some people wear number 8 for Kobe, and some people wear it for Sprewell. And you got to know the difference. We know Ari Shaffir going to know the difference.
He's going to get Latrell Sprewell for talking
now,
about
Latrell
Kobe.
Sprewell wore number 8, and if you divide that by 2, what number is that? Number 4. How many championships Bobby Knight got? How many people he choked in practice on tape? 4. None of which were Calbert Chaney or Isaiah Thomas.
Not at all.
But, toxic masculinity helped win the last perfect season.
Look at Vince Lombardi. With Vince Lombardi, the fucking trophy's named after.
So it's actually the absence.
If you're not injured, if you could play hurt, what did he say? If you're not hurt, you could play.
He had a whole thing, I'm sure.
The whole thing about hurt and injured and all of that.
But
it's real.
Toxic masculinity helped get the last perfect college basketball season.
Mm-hmm. I have a bit where I talk about toxic masculinity.
It's actually absence of masculinity that is the problem.
Yeah.
And it actually benefits women. So it's that whole women first kind of thing.
I always tell people this whole thing, this whole so-called war against, the way I see it as war against masculinity is, I think is really that they're taking the teeth away. It's white women taking the teeth away from black men so that they can kind of control and kind of run the game.
Oh, definitely.
Because white men built the game up. White women want to run the game because they can't run white men.
Yeah.
And the whole game is running niggas.
It's their fight for second.
So they're like, I want to tell niggas and black women and Hispanics what to do.
Right.
So, and the only way you can do that is if you emasculate that mass. So as long as you can get it to where
everybody's playing by the same
exactly,
rules.
because black men should be getting together. Black men and black men and Hispanic men, all men of color should be getting together to revolt.
So you think it's like war?
Yeah, to revolt. But as long as you can keep it emasculated, you don't ever have to worry about this. Never a threat.
Yeah.
So everybody keep thinking, our masculinity, it's toxic. So, they're like, motherfucker, it's survival.
I'll say this last thing, and then we'll get off of here because we've been on here for a while. So the whole Terry Crews versus her thing, he should have just said next question.
Right.
Because there was no right answer, and I support Terry in that. And like I said, he's from Flint. He busted ass to get to where he is. Why are black women tearing him up over Gabby Union when he said the right thing? But obviously, so you know who they got before that? They actually got my big homie, my sensei, Alonzo Bowden, TMZ. Caught him in the airport and asked him, and he said, I messed up. I shouldn't have said nothing, was what he told me. Because he said a bunch of good things, and then they took that one last thing that could be debated about.
What did he say? About the whole thing with
Gabriel
Gabriel
don't even remember, but TMZ caught him in the airport.
Same situation?
Yeah, you can look it up. Google it.
Why are they asking him?
Because he's black, and they know what they doing.
Oh, they're just asking him.
Come on.
He has nothing to do with the show?
Listen, y'all don't know TMZ is basically trolls?
TMZ is...
Like, even with Kobe, when they were like, oh, well, they told us first before they told him. It's like, duh, that's what TMZ does. They're basically trolls. These niggas killed Rick Fox, too.
Yeah. Say he was on the
fake
plane.
News reports, which, like, again, I say I won't debate y'all morality. I know why the news does it.
But they're not news. They're gossip. They're a gossip
But they've kind of doubled now as news. So, because people respond to it like it is. So I know why the news says, hey, there were 25 break-ins in your area when there were really only 4.
But that's because...
So they can... The next commercial is ADT.
ADT, right.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I don't get why we jump out there reporting shit. Hey, there was a girl that got kidnapped in the Bronx. And it's just like, look, be on the lookout for a tan brown Acura.
Well,
now the motherfucking brown Acura can't go nowhere because your stupid ass believed the false report.
Yeah, right.
And the news is fine because they get paid for it. Right. You ain't getting paid. Get your stupid ass off.
That was just like when they was sharing all the pictures of the vans with the locks on the outside. And I said, y'all do know that plumbers and carpenters...
We said that on the episode.
Yeah,
the next thing, and this will kind of close out what we've been talking about this whole time. Like I said, I don't argue with people over the morals, but whether or not these ideas are progressive. Y'all gonna chastise Kobe because he ain't from the hood. Like, that's whack. And so is, like I said, this whole Ari thing. Oh, well, that's brave. That ain't fucking brave. Say something about somebody who can't defend himself. So this next thing, since we've been talking about progressive people, and like I said, whether or not these thoughts are progressive, Drake, the Billie Eilish, that girl, I don't know how old she is. I don't know who she is. 16, I really can't say her name properly. Can't say I've ever heard a song. She won mad Grammys. But what I wanted to say and close this out with was Drake texts or communicates with her. People interrupt that to say, oh, well, see, Drake, he's like R. Kelly, he's communicating with the kids, this is rapey or this is predatory, he's like a predator and it's like they both work in music. Yeah. People that play the same sport or in the same field communicate with other people. Yeah. Sometimes they're young. It's called mentorship.
It's the same thing with Justin Bieber. Bieber had a lot of...
Yes,
Usher
was signed Justin Bieber. But I said that to say this, that these people would claim that they're progressive when what they're actually doing is discouraging male-female mentorship. And a lot of these, women will get to high spaces and then say, well, no one ever helped me or groomed me. Tyler Perry should have more black women writers. But at the same time, if Tyler Perry was texting Lena Waithe when she was 16, the first thing y'all would do is throw these child charges at him. The same way they're doing Drake now. Like I said, y'all do the homework, Google it. These girls are writing blogs and articles about how Drake is predatory.
Because they're able to project their morality and how they're so right or whatever onto a situation that has nothing to do with them.
Right.
It's like I'm able to show people how good of a person I am
Moral
by
high
shitting
ground
on this guy.
But this is what I'm...
And you're creating a narrative that doesn't even exist.
A false narrative. Yeah. And it's disgusting because there's enough of that going on that... But here's my thing again. It ain't the morals. But you're certainly not progressive because the second that it becomes male female, you know, Kobe mentored Kyrie. We've been talking about it this whole thing, you know, time, you know, different players. LeBron and was mentored by Shaq. Shaq came to his high school games, and nobody was like, "Oh, well, Shaq's a predator because he's at LeBron's high school game." And it's like, yo,
that's
fam.
like if Kobe was at like most of the WNBA games. Nobody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
People wanted to be like, oh, you know, he's
but
a creep.
But these are the same people that would swear men and women can just be friends. But the second Drake is texting the 16-year-old, granted she's a Grammy Award winner and they're in the same business, everybody gets all weird.
Right.
And then even with Jay-Z, they went back on him to say, well, he was texting Beyonce when she was young. And I'm like, yeah, they're in the same business. Well, and then dudes jumping out the window trying to get points from the women. Oh, well, I would never text a 16-year-old Beyonce. Yeah, because you're not in music, stupid. Yeah. You work at the mall, nigga.
If you're texting a 16-year-old, we should be looking out for you.
Now, how many letters is mall? Now divide 16 by 4. What you got? And we'll end it just like that, per usual. It's been the motherfucking Tough Talk podcast. I am Phil Hunt. I'll be at Caroline's February 13th. Come check me out. Follow me on all social media at I am Phil Hunt. Ibrahim.
Yo, Ibrahim Khalif, IBRAHIMKHALIF. I'm going to be at the Art House Hotel NYC, February 1st at 8 o'clock for the Aquarius Experience, Dave Lester's 46th birthday party, comedy show, and what is it? He's going to have like cabaret or whatever. Them chicks who they classily take their clothes off. So you're going to come in for
play
that.
strippers.
They
play strippers.
I can't.
They call them dancers.
No, they call
burlesque
them
dancers.
burlesque. There you go. Yeah, it's a burlesque show and comedy show.
The
and
ones
I'm also,
nobody likes.
And I'm also February 13th. I'm at Color Comedy at the Color Cafe, Joe Larson show.
February 13th. Say it again today.
February 13th.
Color Cafe.
Color Cafe for Color Comedy. Joe Larson.
All right, y'all. That's it from us. Thanks.